A veteran of the Toronto Police Homicide Squad is making headlines tonight after admitting to stealing opioids from the force's drug lockers. His actions could impact multiple criminal trials, and police tell CityNews they won't be pressing charges against their colleague.
Everything starts with the drug dealing, the type of people who show up to deal in drugs.
This is Toronto Police Homicide Detective Paul Worden, a veteran of more than 3 decades with the force. He was involved in multiple high-profile investigations. That was until he abruptly retired last month, following his admission that he'd been stealing opioids seized as evidence to feed an addiction that began when he was reportedly prescribed painkillers by a doctor to help him cope with an injury. The fact Toronto police have chosen not to press criminal charges has raised eyebrows.
I think right now we see a double standard.
For years, Toronto police have sent out these press releases alerting the public of stolen medication from pharmacies and hospitals. At times, it's someone with an addiction involved in the crime. Criminal lawyer Colleen McEwen is quick to point out that when caught, charges are at times laid by police.
I don't think everyone right now is being afforded the same leniency that Detective Worden has been afforded in this process. And we have great strides to make in that regard.
What would you say to members of the public who say, this is a double standard?
But I think you really do have to kind of dig into each situation, assess it on its own merits. Our concern is basically for his welfare. We're here to support our members throughout these processes.
A statement sent to CityNews from the retired detective's lawyer in part states, "We are pleased that the Toronto Police Service is treating Paul's situation as a medical condition. It is a progressive approach."
The compassion and the leniency that's being afforded Detective Worden is the same compassion and leniency that should be afforded all members of the public. The issue isn't that Detective Worden should be treated more harshly, but that the same standard should apply to everyone.
Just today, the Minister of Justice announced plans to reform mandatory minimum sentences for some drug offences, especially when it's someone with an addiction involved, which is being seen as a step towards dealing with drug use in Canada as a public health issue and not a criminal one.
Everything was fine with the deceased prior to everybody leaving him alone in the apartment.
Worden's lawyer claims that his client attempted to take drugs that weren't involved in active cases. But the stolen narcotics from the police lockup, as well as his sudden retirement, could have far-reaching implications on current cases before the court. There's word tonight that a homicide trial he was involved in has been delayed.
Like any witness, police officers, when they're up on the stand, their credibility is being assessed. And events like these could be something that impacts this officer's credibility, which could in turn impact the cases he's been involved in.
Toronto's interim chief of police has asked the OPP to step in and conduct what's being called an independent review of the whole situation.